because we're very much focused on the borrower, and we can sometimes be a little over-discerning, but I would rather do that because the deal is the deal. If the numbers make sense on the deal, the numbers make sense. That, quite frankly, is math. That doesn't change. That's pretty much the easy part. Right. The hard part is judging the individual and their character and their integrity. When this person gets knocked down and gets their teeth kicked in, are they going to lay there and cry, or are they going to get up and get it done? And we're looking for the people that are going to get their teeth kicked in and they're going to get it up and get it done.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Pete Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Jon Nolen. At Pete Podcast, we talk about everything real estate investing. Sometimes we talk about great coaches and methods, sometimes tech. I, of course, love when we talk about tech, but we talk about lots of stories, where people came from, how they've succeeded in real estate, and everything and anything in between. This week, I have a great guest. I was on his podcast recently, had a great conversation. I'm looking forward to continuing that. We have Mike Seidl. How's it going, Mike?
John, it's going really, really well. Appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to this. This is exciting. And I'll try and give you grief like you did on my podcast.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, give a quick 30-second intro to the audience, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. 30-second intro. Right now, I am a private money lender, and I am a true private money lender. We don't use institutional money at all. We don't have loans. And my partner and I keep about $30 million on the street at any given time between our funds and that of a small community that we've created. This is my third company. My first one was back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, back in '87. And I was on the front end of the medical alert, push a button, get an ambulance. My second company after selling that one was a construction company where we focused on property damage, fire, water, vehicle impact. And we did between 250 and 300 repairs a year. So when it comes to damage in a property that your rehabbers are facing, I've seen it.
And that helps. Yeah. So may not be the same company. It may not be. I'll ask. I've fallen and I can't get up.
That was not our company, but that is the industry.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to ask. Had to ask.
No, that's fair.
Most people in our generations remember that commercial from that other company. So, awesome. Well, so you've seen a lot of different things. You've been in different industries. What made you end up in real estate, specifically doing private money loans?
When I sold my second company, I was considering flipping houses because my project managers would run about 10 jobs at a time. And each of those jobs were custom because we had somebody living in the house every time. So for me, I'm big into systems and operations. And I thought to myself, well, heck, if my guys can do it with people in it, I can flip 10 houses at a time and it's not going to be that big a deal for me. This is what we did. And I can systemize it. Same cabinet, same flooring, everything's going to be the same. It'll be very easy. It isn't custom. And then somebody that I was getting some training with had me speak with a guy that he worked with as a private money lender. And he said, Mike, I'm not sure you should flip houses. It doesn't sound like that's where your heart is at. Let me have you speak with X. So he got me on the phone with him. He and I spoke for about 45 minutes. He was an economics major. I was an economics major, although he's at a much higher level than I was. And after about that 45 minutes, I said, I don't think I'm going to flip houses. I want to lend money.
When was that?
When did I speak with him? I would have spoken with him back in 2019, 2020, early 2020. So 6 years ago.
Okay, nice. I think we all remember what we were doing beginning of 2020.
Excuse me. We were all on Zooms in our underwear.
That's right. And the issues that came with that. There were some funny.
Let's clarify. I don't have it on now. Just so you know.
Well, I'm not going to show what I've got on down below my shirt, but you'll just have to believe me. Okay. So you talked to him and you said, okay, yep, flipping the houses isn't where I'm passionate about. I've got some amount of equity. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go that route. Now, a distinction that I have always thought of, and I want you to confirm this or debunk this.
Sure.
Private money is cheaper than hard money?
It can be. It all depends on what's involved. Hard money, you are dealing with institutional money. And 9 times out of 10, the person you're speaking with is not the person who controls the capital.
Okay.
They are simply loan originators for whoever it is that controls the capital, and they have to be in their buy box. Then you have private money lenders that are Mary Jones, who lives down the street, has $150,000 sitting in an IRA and doesn't know what to do with it. They tend to be a little bit cheaper because they don't understand a couple of things. They don't understand the risk involved, and they don't have the overhead of actually having their own attorney that they interact with, etc. Then there are people like Zach and I that are professional private money lenders, and we're not the cheapest by any means. The value that we think we bring to the table is when we have an existing relationship, we can close a loan the same day if title is done. Now, this was a unicorn. I can't imagine all the stars will line up like this ever again, but I had somebody that I had known for 3 years. He was in the multifamily space, and he got into a bind. 24 hours before closing, $4 million that had been committed as an LP evaporated because that person's sale didn't go through that they were going to get the capital from. So he spent several hours that night trying to raise capital, and he called me the next day at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he needed $2 million. And he needed it very bad because his $1 million had gone hard already, and the seller had another offer higher than his. So the seller was very much hoping that this thing was not going to close at 5 o'clock that day. So as I said, I spoke to him about 7 o'clock in the morning, and within 6 hours, we had lent him $2 million. So
Wow.
again, that's a unicorn. I can't imagine that happening again. Everything came together, all the stars lined up. And in a situation like that, because we have the relationship, he was able to get the money very fast and saved his bacon. And he's come back to us a couple of times in the past after that. And the reason for that is because we have, and I keep saying that, because we have the relationship, it's very easy. He just sends over docs. We look them over. He knows exactly what we're looking for, and we can close. So he understands the value of his time.
That makes sense. Different by all means, a different situation, less zeros. We have several businesses that my wife Amy and I run. One being a flipping business, and we have some company vehicles, and we had one that the transmission's going out, so we have to get a new vehicle.
Yep.
We have a local bank that we work with quite a bit. We have for almost 10 years. And it's so easy. She's going to pick it up right now. I talked to the dealership on the phone once or twice. I've texted them, went by the bank, signed it with him. It's so much easier. I didn't have to go through all the headaches that I normally had to. Now, is his rate as good as what the dealership could get me? I'm sure not. But we're talking when we're talking about that amount, it's not near what I would have spent time-wise if I went through all the hoopla of getting it's a pain in the ass. And just like when we send loans to him, we know that he's not the cheapest. He knows he's not the cheapest. I mean, he has his business model,
Yep.
but it makes things so much easier. And a lot more time would be invested if we were trying to go out and shop for the best rate every time. And then when we end up in a pickle, like your friend, like you were describing with your friend, you don't have any relationships to jump on and save your hide.
Yep.
So I get you there.
Oh, yeah. And what I find is interesting is if somebody is hard money at 10%, and I don't know what hard money rates are right now, but if they're at 10% and I'm at 12%, which we are, and we're at 12 and 3, if somebody is able to close that loan with a text, this is the way it starts off. I'll get a text with my existing borrowers, a text with an address, their ARV, their cost of rehab, and did I say address? And address. That's it. And I can give them a soft yes or a hard no in minutes. I'm simply looking it up because these are people that I have a relationship with. I'm looking it up and saying, okay, let me check a couple of places. Yeah, we're good. Send over everything else. and that's it. The approval process is very fast. Um, and if somebody is going to, if you've got 2% difference in interest, and let's say a loan is 9 months, because that's our average loan,
Hmm.
the amount that you're actually paying is a couple grand. How much time are you going to spend on the phone looking for somebody? And this is what looking for somebody who's cheaper. And this is what I always explain to people. If it takes you 2 hours to close that loan, on top of what it would take you to close a loan with me, because you have an underwriter, you have a you have a loan officer, you have an underwriter, you have a supervisor. So anybody could blow up that deal. With us, if you spend 2 hours more with them, and that 2 hours you instead trying to close a loan, and you actually close a loan, and your average profit on a deal, I'm sorry, you're trying to close a deal, and your average profit on a deal is 25,000, you just made 25 grand. So if I cost you 2,000 more, you're ahead $23,000.
Yep.
It makes no sense to me that people that do this stuff, but I get it. Some people will, some people will fly and do a couple of layovers in order to save $100.
No
It
way.
doesn't work in my head. It doesn't.
No, no way. And we talked about this on your podcast. I'm a pilot and I enjoy flying. I enjoy flying myself and my family around. Is it a lot of times people make comments that, oh, it must be so much cheaper. No, it's not cheaper. It is very rarely cheaper, but I have a lot of convenience. I enjoy it. So there's value there, but it is the convenience. I can get in the plane and I can go when I need to. My time can be used much more productively.
Yep.
And yeah, it costs more, but that's fine. That's part of doing business.
Well, now I'm not a pilot. I don't own a plane, but when I fly first class because I can I can use the lounge. The lounge is always available to me. So if I get
Mhm.
there early, I can work in the lounge. When I sit, I'm one of the first people on the plane. I can order, actually, I don't. My assistant orders my meal in advance. If there's a meal on the plane, she knows what I get. She knows that when I'm flying alone, I sit on the right side of the plane. When I'm flying with Lois, I sit on the left side of the plane because Lois likes to be in the aisle and I need to be able to use my mouse because I still use a mouse. I won't use the pad. So she knows all this. And if I'm getting off the plane first, they also put a tag on my luggage that says priority. So if I have luggage, it comes off first, one of the first ones. If I don't, if I just have a carry on, I'm just off the plane and I'm gone.
Mhm.
And I can be off the plane in minutes from when it pulls to the gate. I'm gone. I'm out of there. So I'm looking at the productivity and how much more convenient it is. Um, and I'm willing to pay for it. I don't care. It costs me several $100s more. I'll do it every day of the week. I don't even think about it.
Yep. Yep. I feel you. I completely feel you. So, how did you and Zach end up working together? Are y'all partners in the true sense, or?
Yep. What happened was I met Zach in 2020 through a Facebook group. And there happened to be about a half a dozen private money lenders on there. And we chose to meet in Vegas several months later. We met, he and I connected, and we got along very well. And what we were doing is we had another guy, and we called it the trio, the private lending
Hmm.
trio. And he was in Utah. Zach is on the East Coast. I'm in the Rockies as well. And we were exchanging information on our businesses because we weren't in each other's markets. And then as Zach and I both started to grow individually, what we decided to do was just come together. That way, I can take more vacation time and he can take more vacation time. And we don't have to worry about what's going on with the business because I trust him implicitly. Um,
That's good. That's
and
rare.
he trusts me. We both have access to all the money in the accounts, and some of my personal money is in there, some of his personal money is in there. And it means that we can travel, we can take more time off, and we are still running the business, and we also appeal to a completely different crowd. He's only 30 years old, and he is a software engineer by training. I'm a little bit older than that, and I'm definitely not a software engineer by training. He's considerably smarter than I am. Don't tell him that. We'll have to cut that out when you do
You
the
edit that
editing.
out.
But he's just a very bright guy, and I appeal to people that are over 50. So we appeal to completely different audiences when it comes to people joining our community as investors, and it's just a great fit.
Nice. That's very nice. And that kind of takes us to another part. You have two different sides. You have the lending business, and then you also have a community where people can learn the proper way to lend money
Yep.
and sometimes partner on deals, it sounds like. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we have a lot of people that will come in and they think they want to be lenders. And I'll spend a little bit of time on the phone with them. And once they understand that, for example, on each loan, we have a 110-point checklist, and we get doctors, lawyers, high income individuals, and they have some money sitting around and they think they're going to put out a couple of loans. Well, when I explain to them about the underwriting process where you have to get a title commitment, you need an attorney who specializes in lending so that they can read the title commitment and understand what needs to go out, what needs to be taken out, and what needs to be put in. Because title companies are insurance companies. They
Mhm.
love collecting premiums. They do not like paying out claims. So he makes sure that everything gets in there that's supposed to be in there. And when they understand the whole process, 99 times out of 100, they say, yeah, I'm not looking for another job. And they'll say, can I put money with you and I'll co-lend with you? We say, absolutely. And then we go through what that process is for them to be able to do that. And in reality, if I'm charging 12% and they can go make 10% on the street themselves, if I'm paying them 10%, they're working for 2%.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. You just do simple math for them. These are people that are making 500, $1,000 an hour. They're not going to work for 2%. Once
There's
you
no
explain
reason
to
for them
them,
to.
what's that?
There's no reason for them to.
It's crazy. And they also have to learn a new industry and they have to keep the volume going. Zach and I
Mhm.
keep our money out most of the time. And with a individual who's going to lend their own capital, once a deal closes and the property is sold and they get paid back, now they have to go look for another deal and their money's sitting there. When they put it with us in our fund, they're getting paid all the time because we have enough volume and we have systems and processes.
That was a question I was going to ask, was whether those deals end up in a, or those funds end up in a fund, or if they end up being individualized for each loan. But you said they go into a fund.
Yeah, we do a combination. If somebody's an accredited investor, they can go into the fund. If they're not, and they have a minimum of 100,000, then we will co-lend with them. So they'll
Okay.
bring 100 to the table, and the fund will make up the difference. So they're able to still get their money out. The difference is their money is not always deployed
Yeah.
because deals aren't all, sometimes deals pay off.
Right. And then how a common fear of people is they're going to have to foreclose.
Sure, definitely.
And it is a real situation that does happen sometimes. We've done a little bit of lending, not a lot, and we've unfortunately had to foreclose once. About to go to auction. Um, so it happens, and it is a risk, and I'm sure you educate people on that risk. But is it something that occurs often? I'm betting not, but I'll ask.
When I sold my second business, I started lending in 2017, doing some JV deals. And then I was doing some handshake loans with my own capital. So I've been lending since 2017, and I have two properties in foreclosure, and that's since 2017, because we're very much focused on the borrower. And we can sometimes be a little over discerning, but I would rather do that because the deal is the deal. If the numbers make sense on the deal, the numbers make sense. That, quite
Mhm.
frankly, is math. That doesn't change. That's pretty much the easy part.
Right.
The hard part is judging the individual and their character and their integrity. When this person gets knocked down and gets their teeth kicked in, are they going to lay there and cry? Or are they going to get up and get it done? And we're looking for the people that are going to get their teeth kicked in and they're going to get it up and get it done. Um, and that's a major focus for us. Now, you never shoot 100%. No one's going to shoot 100% because you can't predict what people are going to do all the time. You can have some general understanding. But in my previous life, before I started my first company, I used to work at a facility for sexually and physically abused kids as a residential counselor. I also worked in a psychiatric hospital as a mental health worker, and I ran a group home for developmentally delayed men. So my experience in human services is more than most lenders. And
Mhm.
because I'm not a big guy, I'm 5'9", I weigh 160 pounds. So some of the kids that we had were kids that had been some very difficult neighborhoods in Massachusetts, where I was working at the time and where I grew up. And as a guy, I want to say, at the time I would have been in my early 20s. So, if a 17-year-old kid takes a swing at me, I'm going to take him out. Well, that sounds good and it sounds macho. But if you have a 6'2", 280-pound kid who grew up on the street, you're going to get your ass kicked. So I had to learn to understand their body language and what they were saying in facial expressions and skin tones, etc. So, as weird as it may sound, when I'm speaking with someone as a potential borrower, I'm looking at all these things and I'm reading them as individuals and saying, yeah, I don't trust him, or I don't trust her. Something's not right. I don't know what's not right, but something's not right. We shouldn't lend to them.
Fair enough. And that's where the real discernment, no matter what you're doing in life, whatever what you're doing in business, comes down to if you're actually paying attention to details
Yep.
and doing, whether you realize it or not, an actual risk analysis. That's what it comes down to, risk analysis. Then that's how you hedge your bets. That's how you do things proper, and not getting emotional in the decision of, oh, I don't have enough capital deployed. I need to get capital deployed. Oh, well, this deal isn't great. Yeah, well, it kind of makes no, like you said, maths. It doesn't change.
100%.
Um, so I got you there. Now, where all do y'all loan, or if it's easier, where don't you loan?
We can legally lend in 39 states because they do not require licensing. We have lent in 15 states. What we focus on is, logically, from based on what I just said, is the borrower. If we have a good borrower, we will lend in a market where we may not want to lend. For example, I have one borrower in the state of New York that I will lend to because New York is horrendous to try and foreclose. You will never get that property back. It's just not going to happen. And it's very expensive. Everything that's involved with it, it's just brutal. So I know him and I have a comfort level with he and his partner. I've known them for a couple of years. So we are focused on borrowers first and market second, assuming it's not one of the states where it's not legal for me to lend.
Of course, that makes sense. Now, with that, obviously, there's a lot of trust that you have in your borrowers,
Yep.
but not knowing these different markets, it can be scary for people because they don't know. Like if it was Denver, let's put me in your shoes. I'm going to lend to somebody in Denver. I have a lot of trust in the person, but I don't know Denver. Is there a technology used, or what do you do to verify their ARVs are correct?
We're using a couple of things. We're going to use housing alerts to see what's going on in that market. Housing alerts is out of Florida. You can buy nationwide. We have nationwide data that we get from them.
Okay.
Additionally, we will use PropStream. We will use Richer Values, and we use Redfin because Redfin is a brokerage. They have some good information. So we're looking at all four of those. Additionally, we are going to get information from the borrower as to what they feel the property is worth, and we want 3 comps from them. Then what we're looking for is what side of the tracks is the property on. So we will use Google Earth and we look down on the property and we want to see what's going on. Is this a property next door to an auto dealership and I'm getting ARV from the borrower from a mile away that is not next door to an auto dealership? Is it a property that is sitting right next to those electrical transformers? Is it a property sitting next to a farm and I can see cows in the field, which is going to limit the number of borrowers because when the cows, go to the bathroom? So we're looking at it that way as well. We'll also go to Google itself, and I understand it's not 100%, and we'll go up and down the streets in that area. And then if I know somebody in that town, and this is very common for me, I will call somebody else I know in the industry. And I'll say, what do you think about this property? What do you think about this address? And if they know me, if I know them, they're going to say, yeah, it's a crappy neighborhood. You're not going to get that ARV. I don't care what anybody's telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to put some stock into that. So we're checking it from several different angles.
I love that. And if I counted right, that's 7 or 8 different angles that you look at it to verify. Whereas a lot of people, even who are flipping, will use 1 or 2.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny
And I
when
think
they do
that's
that.
one of the things that is good for us is that I'm a systems and operations guy.
Mhm.
So I like things in a particular order. I can go for hours on things that people think are boring because I think in a very linear format.
Mhm.
So for me, if you try to go 1, 3, 2, 5, I'm out. I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and don't try and get me to go any other way. It's just not going to work in my head. I just can't do it. So um, there's that. And then my partner is a software engineer. So we're able to systemize things so that it's not overly time consuming. We actually have a spreadsheet that we are working on Manus. There are only 2 cells that we haven't been able to figure out yet. And we can upload the information to Manus and it can fill in I think there are 15 or 18 cells. It can fill all of them in except 2 on its own. So we're
Nice.
able to do it quickly and um, and efficiently. So because we have this background of the 2 of us, it really doesn't take that long to get the data on the property.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I repeat podcast with me being in tech. I love hearing how people are using tech in sometimes very complicated ways and other times very simple ways that just make a simple process faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. When our assistant who handles that um, has to do that, it takes her probably what used to take her 2 hours to do. She's now doing in 15 minutes. So if I get the information from the borrower, what I need, I can underwrite a loan in 20 minutes. From the time she does it till the time I get it, we could actually underwrite a loan in 30 minutes altogether.
Does that or has that put concern on her side that she's going to lose her job
Oh no,
that you
not at
know
all.
of?
Yeah, no, no, no. She's too smart. She had too much on her plate anyway, and we just come up with new stuff for her.
Nice. That's something that with AI and automation, a lot of people are fearful. And we could go down a rabbit hole on this.
Oh yeah,
Um, but I think it's really just going to make people more efficient. Is it going to replace some jobs? Yes. Is it going to
yep.
replace most jobs? Not in the near future. It's going to make things a lot more efficient, make people be able to do more, do it faster, do it easier, do it cheaper. Um, so I'm just a question I'm always curious about with people.
I hear you. No, she's 100% on board with the AI. One of the things that she also has to do for us is we have monthly statements for credit cards and the bank, and
Mhm.
she has to code each one of those. Well, she was able to work with Manus and give it our coding structure, and she taught it. So now she hated doing those, but it had to be done. She now uploads it into Manus. Manus codes it. She double checks it, and what used to take her a couple hours a month now takes her like 10 minutes.
I'm
And
surprised QuickBooks hasn't jumped on that more.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But anything that is boring to her, she's running through Manus, so she doesn't have to do it anymore. Oh, she's totally on board. I hate doing those statements. Can I run them through Manus? Go, do it,
Do
figure
it.
it out.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Awesome. Well, coming up on 30 minutes close-ish here. Go ahead and close this out. Mike, before I get your socials and stuff, any parting knowledge or suggestions or notes for the audience? Anything they should know?
You've heard this a million times. My first, you didn't hear this part. My first company I started when I was 23, and we sold to a public company after 10 years. And we knew nothing about medical alert systems. We actually didn't know how to hook the system up when we got a call for our first one. It took us a couple of hours to figure out how to plug it in to because it was before the modular, and we had to wire it, and we didn't know anything about it. I was an economics major. I don't know how to wire stuff in. And we were at it for a couple of hours, but we figured it out and sold to a public company 10 years later. What I would leave with people is anything that you want to learn is out there. You've got AI, you've got mentors you can talk to, you've got YouTube. The information is out there, it's readily available. It's all your mindset. That's what people have heard over and over again. If you believe or you really want to do something, there's a way to figure it the heck out.
Amen. And if you believe you can't, you're already
Or you're
proving
done.
yourself right.
You're done.
Yep.
You're completely done.
Yep.
So
Awesome. Well, if somebody wants to get in touch with you for whatever reason, or if they're interested in your community, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, we are at reicapitalguys.com. I am on social media. On Instagram, it's REI Capital Guy, and on Facebook, it's just Mike Seidl. That's it.
Awesome. We'll put those in the show notes. And if you have any questions or anything, reach out to him, follow him. He's a wealth of information. He's done some great things. So, Mike, again, I appreciate you being on. And everybody, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
It's fun, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.